The only way you can throw away the 1999 Constitution is through a revolution. And I'm saying this, all that the current political system, the executive and the legislative organs of government are very, very comfortable with the current Constitution. And let me just say this. When we are gathered here, when you are talking of federalism, the National Assembly is currently expanding the powers of the Senate. More powers are being concentrated in the center. Just a few examples. In 2003, when they said governors cannot have state budgets, because by virtue of Section 214 of the Constitution, there shall be only one police force in Nigeria. But that's it. Another police force was set up by President Obasanjo called the Civil Defense. I'm sure you know it was Civil Defense. It's a police force. Not only that, the EFCC, ICPC, Correctional Services Center, FRSC, all of them are allowed to carry arms. The last one, the government has just, the federal has just set up federal arms instead of state. I'm sure you are aware. Conference is allowed to hold. My job is extremely simple, straightforward, which is to look at the electronic system of voting. And I wish to submit without any fear of contradiction that Nigerian courts are totally opposed to the introduction of any form of electronic voting. In 2010 Electoral Act, amended in 2015 by the Jonathan administration, empowered INEC to adopt any method, any procedure, PC to conduct credible elections in Nigeria. And INEC the rules, card reader for the accreditation of voter and all reading proper stands for manipulation of identification of voters. When the case goes to the use the card reader, we are using the card reader to know how many people were accredited in each of the constituents. But when the case goes to the Supreme Court said it's illegal to accredit voters by the use of card readers. Again, a similar provision is in the Electoral Act 2022. INEC is empowered to issue guidelines and accept any method being fit to have credible elections. INEC under Professor Mahmoud came out publicly and on several occasions. They were going to use device machines for accreditation of voters. We're also going to transmit election results electronically, instantly. But in the case of Yedela and Adeleke, the Supreme Court said the use of device machines and transmission of results electronically was optional for INEC. It's not compulsory. My duty is simple. I can simply say that I hereby suggest that the National Assembly should amend the Electoral Act 2022 to allow the use of device machines and electronic transmission of results online by making them part of the 2022 Electoral Act. But if I say that, please don't clap, I beg you. If I say that, and I be talking to the guests, the current members of the National Assembly, and I have profound respect for, I can fully identify the member of the National Assembly here, I have my respect for you, sir. I want to say without any fear of contradiction that the current set of legislators are very comfortable with the current electoral system that allows manipulation of accreditation of voting. And they are not willing to allow results to be electronically transmitted. So that the status quo can continue. We disgrace ourselves as the largest black nation on earth, but as unable to conduct credible elections. My respected Femi Falana just said it. There's no duty of the court to determine winners of elections. But in Nigeria today, until the years of the Supreme Court, winners of elections are not known. So what I declare temporarily until you spend huge sums of money in the case of governors to go from the High Court to the Supreme Court, in others from the election tribunal to the Court of Appeal. But let me say with profound, as my brother here, because this is the basis of my submission. There are people in the National Assembly who believe we are wasting our time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right now, constitutional review exercise is going on. It has been going on since 2010. Every section of the National Assembly must conduct an election, constitutional review. And what did they do? They were in Lagos a couple of weeks ago, 2 days, 2 hours. And they spent everybody in the Southwest 6 days to travel to Lagos, in spite of the poverty of our people and the security in the country. In some of the region, there were 7 states. So you expect people to travel from Sokoto, from Jigawa to Kaduna. And what they are going to say, we have conducted
public hearing.
Constitutional review. Public hearing. There are constituencies, 360 constituencies in the country, House of Rep. Why have you not gone to your constituency to mobilize the people, to sensitize the people? So for them, what we are doing here is time wasting. They are going to amend the Constitution. Let's not deceive ourselves. The Constitution is subjected to periodic review. As long as you have the current political system in place, and therefore submitted. The only way you can throw away the 1999 Constitution is through a revolution. And I'm saying this, all that the current political system, the executive and the legislative organs of government are very, very comfortable with the current Constitution. And let me just say this. When we are gathered here, when you are talking of federalism, the National Assembly is currently expanding the powers of the Senate. More powers are being concentrated in the center. Just a few examples. In 2003, when they said governors cannot have state budgets, because by virtue of Section 214 of the Constitution, there shall be only one police force in Nigeria. But that's it. Another police force was set up by President Obasanjo called the Civil Defense. I'm sure you know it was Civil Defense. It's a police force. Not only that, the EFCC, ICPC, Correctional Services Center, FRSC, all of them are allowed to carry arms. The last one, the government the federal has just set up federal arms instead of state. I'm sure you are aware. National Assembly enacted a law which Tinubu signed. You now have. And meanwhile, the federal government has no land outside Abuja. But you want to police the land in my state. Underwater. And that's what I'm telling you. National Assembly, so that you can know why this culture will change. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, the National Assembly currently write the budget of the country with the president. They call it budget padding. The current appropriation act of 2025. 2025. The National Assembly inserted 7,000 items valued at 6 trillion naira. So they are not going to change the status quo. Thank you very much.
1999 Constitution, as amended, is not such a constitution. It was not democratically formulated. It was instead imposed on the country through a decree by the military administration. And the governance system derived from it is not only non-inclusive, but also induces over-expenditure of the nation's resources on administration rather than on capital development. Hence, the need for a new constitution made by the peoples of our country. There are also equally incontrovertible facts about the current situation in our country. First, there is serious insecurity of life and property, with kidnappings and killings happening virtually every day in most parts of the country, especially in the Middle Belt, the Northeast, the Northwest regions, where not only huge numbers of life and property are regularly lost, but also farmers are no longer able to go to their farms